there's a kind of profound humiliation that goes on in there. That is what is so awful about things like bullying, is that it attacks a person in their fundamental integrity and dignity. No one likes to be humiliating. Humiliating a person is about the worst thing I can think you can do, right? You look at things like the Nazi atrocities. When we see photos of what went on in those camps, the things that always disgust us the most are these people who are reduced to skeletons and who are walking around naked. They're not even afforded the dignity of wearing clothes, right? That's why when we look at that and go, oh my God, they didn't just torture these people physically.
Right.
They humiliated them. They degraded them.
Right.
I mean, they didn't even think enough to not care about them. They had to hurt them in their fundamental humanity, right? So, I mean, compassion really is about getting a person to sort of understand how things, no matter how pissed off you are at them, how you can't stand them, how stupid they are, how stubborn they are, how rude they have been to you and stuff like that, to just say, okay, look, I don't always have to give you another chance. I don't have to put myself through that, but I can at least not be cruel. We're all callous to some degrees, right? I distinguish between callousness and cruelty. Callousness is when you hurt somebody because you just maybe don't care enough about them, and you're busy with other things, and you put their interests too far behind. It's too low in your index of priorities, and you end up hurting them. But cruelty is when you set out to hurt a person, when you're bent on hurting a person, and that's awful. And so when we teach and inculcate compassion, we're trying to curtail or restrict that impulse that we all have when we're angry at a person, to hurt them. And it's not just about physical violence, because the worst thing you'll ever do to a person is degrade and humiliate them. It's not going to be the punch in the nose that's going to bother them. It's that you punch them in the nose in front of everybody and they couldn't fight back because they were too weak or something like that. Or you caught them in some argument in front of a group of people, and everyone kind of chuckled because you had them on the ropes and they didn't know how to answer these difficult philosophical questions, right? And you kind of outwitted them in that moment, right? I mean, so this is what I don't like in the discourses, when people are sort of humiliating one another.
Right.
I understand the impulse. I feel it too. There have been times where I'd like to get in there and really, but I don't, because in a more sober moment, a reflective moment, I think, oh, that's a crappy thing to do. It says an awful lot about me. So I think I have a lot of faults. I have a lot of moral failings that I, wouldn't, want to advertise or promote, or, things like that. But the one thing I think one moral failing that I don't think I have is that I'm not cruel, and I try to never be cruel. It's kind of like, what's that? The Hippocratic Oath, at the very least, do no harm. That's what I'm trying to do. If I can get through life without hurting anybody, right? That's what I want. And I know I'm going to hurt people through callousness, but I can at least not hurt them through cruelty. If I can at least do that, I'll look back and not be terribly ashamed of myself.